This is chapter number 7, Ashoka, the emperor who gave up the war. We are taking question and answer of this, and we'll like to cover all the chapter, total chapter. Here are the pictures. We are going to come again whenever the question requires it. So you have to keep these pictures in mind. Who started the policy of Dhamma? Now Dhamma and Dharma, they both are same. Dhamma, Dharma are same. Dharma is a Sanskrit word. Dhamma is a local or Prakrit language word. So the answer is Ashoka started the policy of Dharma or Dhamma. So what was Dhamma? What was Dhamma? The code of conduct. Dharma, Dhamma, how to do, what to do for a citizen or a person who is living being. Don't have to fight with anyone, respect everyone's religion. So how to live in this society? So this is Dharma. This is Dharma. The Prakrit language gave birth to the Dash language. So Prakrit language gave birth to the Pali language. Pali. What was the purpose of the following the policy of Dhamma? Dharma or Dhamma. So this is actually Niti, policy of Dharma. What was the purpose of following the policy of Dharma or Dhamma? So we are talking about Samrat Ashok, Emperor Ashok. And Ashok followed this policy to uplift the moral of his subjects, though he did not declare Buddhism as the religion of the state. That means I'm talking about subjects means the citizens or the people who are living in his empire. So he followed this policy in order to uplift the moral of his people, but he did not declare Buddhism, though he was quite inspired by Buddhism, but he didn't declare Buddhism as the religion of the state. He was quite all those things which are being said in Buddhism, he was having all these things in his thoughts, and that's what he wanted to propagate. So this is how the answer will come. So the purpose of following the policy of Dhamma is like this. Dhamma is the Prakrit word for the Sanskrit term dharma. So we just discussed about that, and it's true. It's true. Ashoka was inspired by the teachings of. So we just answered this. Gautam Buddha teaching, Upadesh, sermons. So Ashoka was inspired by the thoughts, teachings of Gautam Buddha. Buddhism is by Buddha. When did Ashoka's inclination towards Buddhism developed? So when it got developed, because he was already inspired by the thoughts, the same area, Vajji, it's quite nearer to that Patliputra, etc. So he is Samrat Ashok. You see there is a picture of Bhagwan Buddha also. But the thing started here. It was the battle of Kaling, fought between 261 and 262, this BC. So here they fought a war and he won also. And 1 lakh people died. All the Daya river in the Kaling, it was all red. So after the battle of Kalinga, he slowly became the follower of Buddhist religion because 1.5 were captive, 1 lakh were killed. So he became the follower of Buddhist religion, and the basic idea he adopted was the path of non-violence, ahimsa. From where does the term Dhamma was taken from? So this has been taken from Prakrit language. So wherever there is a language, even if you are living in certain region, there will be some local language. Like where I am living, we call Bhai Sahab as Bhaiji or Bhaiji kya hal hai. So this is a Prakrit language here. Who constructed the Great Wall of China? Actually, there is no single person who constructed. 2300 years back, there were six dynasties. Six dynasties, different emperors came and they contributed in construction of this wall. Right? So it's not one person. But at the last, it was Qin dynasty, and they made, the emperors and the other people made the northern part. They connected the northern part of this Great Wall of China. What was the language in which the rock edict was written? Now, this is not in your book, but still I have kept it. The rock edicts were written in a Brahmi script, in Prakrit, which were the language of this Prakrit, that is the native or the local language, which were the language of the common people. So, this is the answer. Why the Great Wall of China was constructed? This is the Great Wall of China, and there was various reasons. See, this is a boundary of two empires. Here we have emperors, his subjects, the farmers, the herders, and the general public. So from the other side, there was always adversary, fighting, coming inside, and killing people and looting them. So they made this wall. It was small at the initial, but on due course of the time, the length became to 21,196.18 kilometers. So this is one of the wonders of the world. Great Wall of China had a system that at a very distance of about 100 and 200 meters, there will be a watchtower, Burj, watchtower. So why do we have a watchtower? I'll just show you here. This is 100 meters from here to here. Let me expand it. So this is what? This is a tower, watchtower. And what is happening, in order to do the surveillance, Nigrani, then again, after 100 meters, there will be again watchtower like this. Burj, in Hindi it's called as Burj. What is a watchtower? We just discussed this. Watchtower. So, watchtower is a type of fortification used in many parts of the world. It differs from the regular tower. It looks like a freestanding structure. We are not actually relating it with the Great Wall of China. We are just saying that watchtower is another type of fortification. It is not a regular tower, but it is a freestanding structure, especially for keeping surveillance and watching everything what is happening. So in the Great Wall of China, you see there is a wall, and then we have a one watchtower. They have different parts so that they can see, and you can have one or two soldiers here. Then 100 to 100 meters again there is a watchtower. Again, one or two soldiers you can depute here. The city of Ujjain is located on the route from dash to dash, north to south. Let me show you here. So if you see here, Ujjain is here. This is north area, and this is the south area, north and south. So in between we have Ujjain. That was the path at that time. Name the emperor who was also the grandfather. So let me show you the chronology. Ashoka the Great, his father was Bindusar, and Bindusar's father was Chandragupta Maurya. So Chandragupta Maurya was the Dadaji. He actually he was the Sansthapak. He created or he established this Mauryan dynasty, Mauryan Vansh. So Chandragupta Maurya is the correct answer. Name the three important rulers of Mauryan dynasty. So we have three of them. I just showed you. First one was Chandragupta Maurya, then Bindusar, then Samrat Ashok. Let me show you again. This is Chandragupta Maurya, Bindusar, and then the Ashok the Great. Name the wise men present in Chandragupta Maurya's empire. Not a single emperor cannot rule. If you take Pradhan Mantri Modi, the Modi may be good, but if his Mantri Mandal ministers are not good, the governance will not be good. So all these things depends. The country's governance depends totally on whom, the person or different ministers. But in Chandragupta Maurya's empire, we have Chanakya. Chanakya, Kautilya, Vishnugupta, all are his name. So he was a very intelligent man, wise man, and he was a Kutnitigya. So he actually gave ideas to Chandragupta Maurya. That's why he had a great empire. Name other names of Chanakya. So we have Chanakya, then Kautilya, and then Vishnugupta. Kautilya, Vishnugupta, Chanakya. All these three are same person. 2 years after the Kalinga War, Ashoka inscribed his message on the Sarnath pillar. This is true. Let me show you here. So we are talking about this Sarnath pillar. So there were inscriptions. So whatever he wanted to say, he wanted to propagate, or let his subjects know what he wanted to do, what are the adesh, what are the indicators, or what he wanted to say, all these were inscribed. So Sarnath pillar, and this is absolutely true. Name a prosperous kingdom lying between the rivers Godavari and Mahanadi. So let me take you there. Kalinga. I'll show you here. So we have two rivers, Kalinga. So we have two rivers which we just talked about. Here we have Kalinga. Kalinga, you can say it's a southern part of Odisha. Now Odisha. How were empire different from the kingdoms? No, kingdom is not that large, not that huge. It's like Mahajanpads, but it's not empire. Empire means a samraj. It's a huge area. So wherever you are looking at these points, red points, dots, these are all the Mauryan Empire different parts, because we have got the inscriptions here. Main governing points were Takshashila, Nalanda, like this. Okay. So this is the empire. Okay. Now the next question is, which of the two was larger, an empire or a kingdom? We have just seen that empires were larger. For whom does the emperor collected taxes? So whenever we talk about an empire, what does it mean? It's a large area. It's a huge area. In order to govern, supervise that area or region, we need to have, or the emperor would have, a lot of officials and army men in order to save or protect security. So in order to give them money, they give them all the resources, they have to collect the taxes. So the taxes were collected from farmers, herders, craftspersons. So what we have seen is that most of the routes they have applied for taxes. In the book for which the administration of the Mauryan Empire was known. So as I said, Kautilya, Vishnugupta, and Chanakya, all these three are same. Kautilya, Vishnugupta, and Chanakya. So they are indicating the same person. Arthashastra. So this is the book for which the administration of Mauryan Empire are known. We have got a lot of information from this book, Arthashastra. What do you mean by Arthashastra? Artha means money. Shastra means some book. So Arthashastra is a book in which the ideas of Chanakya regarding the administration of that period have been written. So all the information we are getting from there. Now this question is 26th question, and I would like you to answer this question. I'm going to take it in the next discussion, but I would like to encourage you to answer this. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.